and welcome to another live stream. And today I'm gonna show you the soon to be released BMW M235i that you have been waiting for a long time, but now it's getting really close to be released. So I thought I'd give you a first look of the car, and what better track than the Nordschleife to show it to you. We're gonna drive against the AI today. The AI is set up 110% difficulty. We're gonna do a 60 minutes race, so get your popcorn ready. We have tires and fuel set to be at ×2 multiplicator, so 2 times tires, 2 times fuel usage, and we have a mandatory pit stop coming. So as you can see, we have quite a few liveries actually in this car. I think in total it's 23 or 24. Most of them are from the VLN Championship, of course. Some others are from the 24-hour series. And actually, let me go into the monitor real quick so we can have a better look. I'll show you some of the liveries and give you a little bit a preview of the sound as well. I hope you can hear the sound from the game as well as me fine, otherwise just let me know and I'll do some adjustments. Beautiful livery, this one of my favorites personally. I believe this one is the livery of Oscar Sandberg, who is a real driver, helped us develop the car. He won the Dubai 24 hours in his class in the BMW M235i. Then we have this one, it's like an art car from the BMW factory. Also very outstanding livery. Pixum, Green Hell, and the factory livery that I'm gonna drive. So I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a pretty damn sexy car. And yeah, maybe we can have a little look at the cockpit as well. So it's very close to stock to the Road Series car. You can see there's still the AC in there. It has analog gauges, but a pretty fancy steering wheel. With the gear enabled, you can see the gear on the display and the fuel, etc. So we're gonna do a little installation lap and then we'll jump into the race. Now this car was made by BMW as a entry-level customer car for endurance racing and GT racing in general. It has 330 horsepower, and it also has some driving aids inside, like traction control and ABS. Now, of course, you can adjust the traction control to your preference, but the whole point of this car is to make it very drivable and easy for customers to get a good entry point into GT racing. Nonetheless, it's quite fun to drive. It's very dynamic, and you can also power drift it a little bit out of the corners, even with the stock traction control setting. But the most important thing is obviously the racing that is always fantastic with cars like this, because they are not super fast, but everything is very close to each other. I'm sure we will have some pretty fun online races with this one. And of course fits perfectly well on the Nordschleife for this car. This is where it mostly races, but there's also racing series in Belgium, for example, and in China. But I'm sure it will be great to drive on every track. A little bit about the development of this car. We had great support from BMW, of course, but also from racing teams such as the Sorg Rennsport team. That's where Oskar Sandberg is driving. Oskar Sandberg, of course, RaceRoom VIP, is driving in RaceRoom quite a bit. He helped us during the beta phase of the car, tweaking it. But of course, the most important thing was that we had access to telemetry data from the teams, such as Sorg Rennsport and also Duvo Racing, who provided us a lot of information. So should be really close to the real thing. It's one of those cars that is easy to learn, but of course it's hard to master. It's always with every car to get up to the really good lap times, to squeeze out the last tens and hundreds of seconds. When driving it on the limit, it always becomes more tricky and more difficult. The sound, of course, is well, it's not spectacular as is in the nature of the car, but it's very accurate to the real car sounds, because we had the chance to record this car firsthand. Anthony was recording it on track, putting a microphone into the cockpit of the car. So yeah, once again, great job by Anthony. Made the car sound just like the real car. So the plan for the race is to start last, as always, because that's the most fun, and we're gonna try to make our way as much to the front as we can. And with 2 times tire wear and 2 times fuel usage and a mandatory pit stop, we should have a pit stop scheduled around lap 3, I think. And then we'll see. If you guys want, we can do another race on a different track later, but I figured the Nordschleife is the place to be with this car. I'll try my best to read a little bit in the chat if my driving allows it. So if you have any questions, just shoot. Preferably not very long questions, but because I can't read a lot of text while driving. We do have simulators in our office, yes. but they are not for rent or visitors. Well, of course, visitors can drive them, but it's not. They don't have to pay for that. However, there's a race room at the go-kart track here in town, if you want to go visit that one. So you can do some go-karting and some sim racing as well. So I'm driving it fairly stable now, but as you can see, you can also drift it quite a bit if you choose to do so. Not that it's the fastest way to do it, but it's certainly a lot of fun. This will of course as well be a car that will be great for multi-class racing, which you can already do online of course, and in the future hopefully offline as well. I can't really say much about the GT4 class yet. We have so far announced one car, the KTM, but it will certainly not stay alone in his class. I can show you the parameters, what you can change in the setup. I'll make my way back to the pits now, and then I'll show you what you can do in the setup. So the default traction control setting is 25%, I believe, which makes the car still quite lively on the rear if you exaggerate it, but feel free to change that to whatever fits you the best. Nope, GTR 3, that's Simbin. I'm at Sector 3 Studios, working on RaceRoom. So, quick look at the car setup. So as you can see, now no guarantees, this is a dev build, so it might change still until the release, but I'm fairly certain that those are the values that will also be available to you. So we have the toe, of course, and springs. As you can see, the dampers are locked here. And then we have camber, anti-roll bar, wing, brake pressure, and the traction control settings. So not a whole lot, but of course that is the point, because it's a rookie car, and you know, we also get the feedback from Oscar Sandberg, because obviously he's driving the car and he talked with his mechanics and his engineers, and they told us exactly what can be altered in the car and what cannot. So I'm driving the default setup here. The wheel range is actually 540 and 18 steering lock. This is the dev build, but since the car is coming out next week already, this should be very close to what you guys will get your hands on. So yeah, you heard right, car is coming out next week. The long wait is finally over. It's been a while since we have announced this car. Kept you waiting long enough. Now it's time to get it out there. So, then I will jump into the race. We're gonna start with a full tank of fuel. Now, as I said earlier, I've set fuel usage ×2, so this is not the actual mileage that you can get out of this car. And the rest we'll leave it as is. Starting last, as I mentioned, and we'll see how far we can go in this 6-minute race. Again, a quick look at deliveries. Yep. Let's see what we can do. Rolling start as is usual in VLN. Some races earlier today already, and it was pretty awesome. AI is working great for the most part. Slight lift for this corner. Briefly down to third, up into fourth again. Hop over the curb here and here on the exit as well. Stay in fourth gear for this one, although third could also work. Up to Flugplatz. Briefly into sixth gear. Down to fifth again. Get a good exit here. Trying to get into the slipstream so we can make a move in Arenberg. Trying to stay on the inside here. Wasn't quite enough to overtake this guy here. Next chance is Adenauer Forst. Almost. So yeah, definitely looking forward to race this online with you guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Sneaking by the Pixum car, leaving him the space. Almost made it stick. Yeah, AI is at 110%. Now the only place where the AI is still struggling a little bit is the carousel. But maybe we can still fix that a little bit. This is gonna be dangerous. That's not a corner where you go too wide. Yeah, especially in the beginning of the race. There's a lot of traffic, the AI is struggling quite a bit in the carousel, but I'm sure we will try our best to improve that before the release, if it's possible. Howdy, Gregory. Slipstream coming up on the Dettingerhöhe, long straight. Let's try to stay close as possible. Slight tap on the brake. Had to lift a little bit. top speed should be around 250, depending on the slipstream. More like, yeah, 245 without slipstream. First lap almost done. We went from P23 to P17. Hi Jay. So the next update we're working on obviously does contain this car, and it's set to be released next week. Some changes noteworthy, besides a bunch of bug fixes of course, is that you will be able to enter your team name into your profile. So if you go to your profile, click on your account settings, you can enter a team that you will be associated with, which will then show on the leaderboards, for example. So that's pretty cool. I would recommend all you guys go there and enter your team names. And another noteworthy fix that is included is that we have resurfaced Spa-Francorchamps. Because it turned out to be quite bumpy with certain cars like the Formula RaceRoom. So we have smoothened it out a bit. So it will be much more fun to drive in, for example, open wheelers or other cars with very stiff suspension. So that's definitely an improvement there. AI is fighting just ahead of us here. Let's see if we can take advantage. Yes, Races in Pyjamas will get all the glory. Now this is of course only a small step towards better support for teams in RaceRoom, but with ranked multiplayer we have some more and more in-depth team features planned that will come at a later point. The multiclass for single player, there's no date attached to that currently. Our main priority right now is ranked multiplayer and some other features that have been requested from us. By our partners, and but it's definitely something that is still on our to-do list. I already feel my tires are not the best anymore, but obviously I'm running 2 times tire wear in this offline race here. Yeah, I think we're making good progress here in the race. Still 45 minutes to go and a pit stop coming up. Might have to put in a little fuel during our pit stop. It's very difficult to say when ranked multiplayer will be done. Obviously before it will be completely finalized there will be a beta phase, because a lot of it, you know, is really hard to test with a limited amount of beta testers. It really only makes sense to test with a large set of people. So the most likely scenario is that we will have a sort of a open beta or alpha or whatever you want to call it before it will finally launch. But when that's gonna be, it's very difficult to say. It's quite a complex thing that we are doing here that involves a lot of different things that need to be considered. I'm hoping that after the summer we can go into the beta. It all depends on what other things come up onto our schedule. Well, as I said, the beta would be, I mean, this is just me talking what we discussed so far, but might change in the future, so there's no guarantee, but I think it would make sense that we launch a public beta, so that means you don't have to be a beta tester. It means everybody will be able to join that. But of course, since you're collecting championship points and rating and reputation and licenses and all these things, those will need to be reset after the beta is considered to be done, before the official launch of that feature. So there's a good chance that we will do 1 season or 2 in beta and then fix what needs to be fixed, if there's anything, which there probably is, and then officially launch it. And by that all your statistics and ratings, etc. would be reset, of course. Getting closer to the top 10 now. I cannot tell you much about the Porsche pack now. You have already seen one car in the announcement trailer. That is the 911 Cup. That of course will be one of the first cars to come out. And then there's a couple of obvious choices that you would expect probably. So you can be pretty certain that all the popular models that are racing in the worldwide racing series everywhere are very high on our priority list. And once the obvious choices are out of the way, it's not decided yet. Which one would you like to see in RaceRoom? And don't say Formula E. Thank you. There's currently no plans for adding a spotter, but as you may know, there's a pretty awesome third-party application that you can download for free, made by Mr. Belowski, called Crew Chief app, and I think it's doing a very good job actually. You should definitely go to the forums, Sector 3 forums, and download it. I haven't got it running today because obviously I was planning to talk with you guys and I don't want the crew chief to interfere a whole lot. Thank you. Mercedes AMG is also making good progress. Thanks guys. Same as the Audi R8 and the Callaway Corvette, which we have announced already a while ago. But then of course we had to work on Porsche as well, so it got a little bit delayed. But I think that's for a good reason. And what can I tell you about the GT3 cars? Yeah, they are currently in beta testing, and still we're waiting for some teams to get back to us for approval of liveries and stuff like that. But you have a new car coming out next week, which is this one. And after that, I'm sure you will not be waiting forever for the GT3 cars to come out after that. Thanks guys. Hope you're enjoying this stream. There's definitely more streams coming in the future of content that you would like to see. Definitely GT3 at some point in the near future, once it's in a more or less ready state and ready to be shown to you guys. Cheers guys. Now I need to catch up to that AI some more, otherwise we will not be in the top 10 at the end of this race. You wanna be a beta tester? It's no fun, I can tell you. Are you sure you wanna do that? No, I'm just kidding. Well, you can just you can send us an email or try to get in touch with JF on the forums. Even though we are currently not necessarily looking to extend our beta tester team, but might put you on a list, and whenever we decide to increase the team, beta tester team, we might get back to you. So it cannot hurt to get in touch. I would definitely say 2017, yes, for the GT3 cars. Unless a meteor hits Earth or something else happens something else unpredictable. But no, they are well on their way, guys. I know it can be tough to wait, but it's gonna be worth it, trust me. Cheers, guys, appreciate it. So luckily we're approaching the carousel again. Hope that I can make up some time there again. You want the Porsche Cup? You get it. Just be patient. Hey Alex, how are you doing? AI was a little bit quicker this time around to the carousel. I think this is the lap where we come in for the pit stop at the end of it. Tires are not the best anymore. But the car is still very manageable. Made a kid stick here. No, that was not a good line. If you're visiting the next VLN race, if you're going to the Nürburgring, there is a multiplayer race in the RaceRoom cafe that you can sign up. I think it was hosted by Team Racegitter. You can check on the RaceRoom Facebook page. We've shared a link where you can get all the information. That is still the plan, Mike, but also very difficult to say when that's gonna happen. But as Chris mentioned it in the interview at the race department, that is the plan, that RaceRoom moves to the new tech that is currently developed by Simbin in the UK. Forgot to announce my pit stop. I think all of the GT3 cars have their own charm. They're all really beautiful cars, if you ask me. But I do like the BMW M6 a lot. I think it looks fantastic. but also the Audi, which just won the Spa 24 Hours. And the AMG Mercedes sounds fantastic, like an old Spitfire plane from World War. Absolutely fantastic car. If you ever heard it in real life, it's really quite amazing. And if you haven't, well, there's still RaceRoom for you. That's as close as it gets in terms of sound experience. So did we lose a couple of places now? Of course, not all the eyes have pitted yet. I think we put in too much fuel, but hey, makes it more interesting. Cheers! Yeah, the 650S is also very, very sexy. If I was you, Marcel, I would buy both. You know, you can buy every car, of course, individually, or you can buy the class pack. Every class you can buy as a pack. And so you can buy the GTR 3 pack, of course, which includes all the cars for a discounted price. You will want to drive them all eventually anyway. If you already have a car or two from a class. Of course those will be deducted from your class pack price. Obviously we're not gonna charge you twice for the same car. It's a bit of a late breakpoint here. Can't overtake here on the outside. This is always risky here, side by side, but thankfully we left him behind us. We gotta soon catch up to this beautiful art car ahead of us. The BMW stripe liveries. Barely full throttle this corner. So now the guys ahead of us, one lap ahead of us, will pit. Well, not one lap ahead of us, but the guys who didn't pit last lap. Beautiful slipstream. So now we're gonna go 3 wide, I guess. Good stuff. Let's see if we can gain some places now when the AI is leaving the pits. Yes, indeed. Hey, we're second. Now I wonder if that guy in P1 is truly 12 seconds ahead of me, or if he also needs to pit still. As I said, the car is quite easy with traction control, but you can still have fun with it if you choose to do so. And of course, especially if you turn off traction control. Yeah, I mean, every car has a different ideal shifting point, and that is not always when you just before you hit the limiter. That was a little bit too much drifting, almost rolled over the curb. So I think it's 2 more laps on this track. Might be 3, I'm not quite sure. But I think we can do one more track, another race on another track after this one, if you guys are up for that. I was thinking Zolder, as that is part of the Belgium BMW Cup, BMW M235i Racing Cup. But if you want to see a different track, just let me know. It's coming next week, together with a patch. As I said earlier, the patch includes a updated version of Spa-Francorchamps. Oops. Spa-Francorchamps has been resurfaced. And another highlight of the patch will be that you can now enter your team name to your account setting, to your profile, by going to your account settings and just entering the name of the team that you're driving for, which will then be shown on the leaderboards. This is offline single player against AI. AI is set to 110% difficulty, or was it 112? Somewhere around that. As I said earlier, there's no release date set yet for the new GT3 cars, but they should be following after this patch, and not too far after this patch. You will not be waiting too long, I promise you guys. Definitely this year. Swedish track could fit also quite nicely with this car. Did you see the Formula E race yesterday? It was actually quite entertaining, even though I still don't like how the cars look or sound. And I also don't understand why they're only racing on boring city tracks. But the race itself was actually quite entertaining, with a little bit of drama included after the race. Sebastian Buemi was really not amused about some other drivers and made it very clear after the race. Okay, I'm catching up to P1. It's only 8 seconds now. But in 2 remaining laps it's gonna be difficult. I'm afraid the Formula E will never race on the Nordschleife. They tend to go to very big cities, because I guess otherwise nobody will come watch them. I don't know, Christopher. There's no date set for that feature to come out. All I can tell you is that it's still on our to-do list, but other priorities have taken over right now. One of them is ranked multiplayer, of course, and the other one some other features that have been requested from us by our partners. That will be also quite interesting, I think, for you guys once you learn about them. 6 seconds. I think we can catch this guy. I did watch the starting hours of the Spa 24-hour race, and then it was running in the background, but I didn't really watch it actively. And then I tuned in again for the last hours. But such an amazing grid in the Spa 24 hours. Man, 63 GT3 cars being let loose on that track. It's quite amazing. Yeah, I agree, this cockpit is done very well. Especially it's a very unusual steering wheel, of course, with the display in the top center. Some of you guys, maybe if you have a Fanatic wheel, now I don't know which one it was, but it looks very similar to this wheel. Might be actually modeled after this wheel. I think it's one of the Elite wheels. that also has a display and LEDs in the top center. So if you're a lucky owner of that wheel, you will have a very authentic experience driving in cockpit in this car. You mean the left-hand side steering wheel on the Nissan? It's not currently in the works. I actually doubt that we're gonna make that change, because that car was licensed and approved as it is back then. It's been a long time since we licensed that car, and we cannot just simply go ahead and make changes to a car that we have built according to, you know, licenses and contracts. But soon you will have plenty of new GT3 cars to pick from. Catching up, only 4.5 seconds now. 2 laps left, I think. Oops. Stay focused. Yep, all the gauges are working. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but in the BMW, I think it's the E30, or it might actually be the 635. You know, there's an analog clock in the cockpit, and that clock is actually working. It's showing you the correct time. Just a nice little Easter egg that probably some of you haven't noticed so far. I'm pretty sure we did the Haribo. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think I saw that car. Maybe I'm confusing it with the old SLS, but I would be surprised if that car is not in there. Well, I think it syncs to your system time, so whatever your time on Windows is set up, that will be the time shown in the BMW cockpit. Thanks for the subscription, guys. I hope you're enjoying the stream. There's gonna be more streams in the near future, obviously. Oh, by the way, talking about liveries, in the coming patch next week, we also included some new M6 liveries, BMW M6 liveries. Some fairly popular ones, or let's say very good looking ones. I think there's 2 or 3 liveries from the Bathurst race, the 12 hours of Bathurst from this year. That is, I think one of them is like a greenish livery, very good looking livery. the other one was like black and red, Vodafone sponsored, I believe. So yeah, look forward to some new paint on your M6. And the other livery, I think this will satisfy many of you. You will be happy to hear that we have made the Falcon livery on the M6. Very iconic Falcon tires, blue and green livery. That used to be a Porsche livery that we of course also put on our roof. But now they went with the BMW M6 in VLN, and it was such a good looking car. Unfortunately they came out with the design before we had already made all the deliveries for our car at first release, but now we've decided to include it as well because it's very stylish and it will look great in RaceRoom. So 1 lap to go, going for the lead. Hi Jake. You can see there's a button so you can switch different data displays, or let's say different pages on your data display with different information. And since a couple of patches back, see, now he's going to pits as well, so he didn't pit after all. What I was gonna say is that since a couple of patches back, there's a new feature in RaceRoom, and that is the live delta time that compares your current lap to your best lap time in real time, so you can see at any point whether you're on a good or a bad lap and how far back to your best lap time you currently are, which is a very great feature, especially if you're doing qualifyings and hot lapping, etc. So make sure to check that out on the data displays. And if it's not on the page that you're looking at, you can use the button that you can bind to toggle between the different data display pages. I do like my Logitech G27. I think it's pretty good value for your money, but of course there are better wheels if you're, if you have your budget that allows for it. If you want to spend more than 300 or 400 bucks on a wheel, you can certainly do so and get a pretty decent high-end wheel. Thanks Jake, I'm trying my best. How often do I stream? I'm streaming... Lately I'm streaming like a couple of times a week. Usually during the weekends. But I don't have like a fixed schedule or anything. I usually stream all the online races that I'm doing, as well as offline racing. And sometimes giving you a little preview of stuff that we have been working on. I've seen those pictures of the IndyCar. Look pretty good to me. I think it was the oval spec, right? Not sure how the road spec will look like. Probably similar, with a bunch of more aero pieces. But yeah, I quite like it. But I have to admit, I'm not following IndyCar much. I do not play Forza Horizon now. I mostly drive racing simulations, such as RaceRoom, sometimes Dirt Rally. But I was thinking about getting into Forza 7 when it comes out, just because it's the first time it comes out on PC. And it certainly looks very, very well. To make the wheel match, I think you need to, well, first of all, make sure your drivers are up to date, and then I think you can set your Fanatic wheel in the drivers to use automatic, whatever it's called in there, sensitivity or whatever. So instead of 900 or 360 degrees, you can, either it was automatic or it was off, I'm not sure. And then you can adjust the wheel range in-game in RaceRoom by going to the car setup steering settings, and it should automatically apply whatever you change there, your wheel will be using. And regarding the in-game wheel, the visual wheel on the screen, that will only match if you go to vehicle settings in the options, and there you can set it to match setup, so it will use the same rotation as you are using on the physical wheel. And of course that only goes up to 360 degrees. See, because the driver animation doesn't go beyond 360 degrees. But you can also hide, or you can change the settings so it only shows the wheel, same as I'm doing here. So you don't see the driver hands in-game on the wheel, but only the wheel. Or you can turn the wheel off completely, however you prefer it. But if you set it to wheel only, and make sure you have set it to match setup, then the rotation will be exactly as on your wheel that you are using. I don't know about tire pressure. It's something that would require a lot of work, because obviously we would need to go through all the cars. I'm not sure how many cars we have currently in game, but it's almost 100, I believe, or more than 100. Yeah, the game is called RaceRoom, Jake. RaceRoom Racing Experience. You can get it on Steam for free. Obviously you will have a handful of cars and tracks that you can drive for free. And then you have various choices to expand, either buying single cars, single tracks, or you can buy packs. Or you can buy the premium pack, which includes everything that is currently in the game. Last chicane, guys. That was a 60 minutes race on the Nordschleife. Going from last to first against AI at 110%. That was quite fun. I hope you enjoyed this. Now I don't know, should we do another short race on a different track? And if so, which track? I think we're going on Zolder, because it's a perfect match for this car. So I'll set up another race, and I'll be back again with you guys in 2 minutes. Stay tuned. Alright, here we are again on Zolder. Which is of course is a track that they run in real life with this car in the Belgian M235i Racing Cup. This time we're only gonna do a half an hour race and no mandatory pit stop. Probably gonna start from the back again. Don't think I will make it to P1 in just 30 minutes, but we will see. I take it you guys are really looking forward to the new GT3 cars. But as I already mentioned before, there's currently no release date set that I could tell you guys. All I can tell you is that we're making good progress, and that first of all, next week you will get your hands on this car, the M235i, and I'm pretty sure the GT3 cars will follow shortly after. It's definitely something that we want to do, yes, more options for Daddy. And since we are working on various related things with regards to ranked multiplayer, I'm pretty sure some of those things will get worked on pretty soon and will not only be used in ranked multiplayer but also be available to you guys in the dedicated server tool. Yeah, this is completely default setup. I can show you again, but there's not a whole lot you can change in this car in terms of setup. Again, this is something that we have developed in collaboration with Oscar Sandberg, which drives the car in real life. Won the 24 Hours of Dubai this year in this car, and he gave us really good feedback after talking with his engineers and mechanics. So we have a pretty good idea what you can adjust in real life in this car and what you cannot adjust. Thanks. So let me show you. So what you cannot adjust is, and again this is without guarantees, because this is the dev build, and it might still change when we ship the car to you guys, because obviously in the dev build we may have some options available here that you might not have, because you know we needed to find good default values. But as you can see, there's a whole lot of settings that you cannot adjust, like the differential, the gear ratio, anti-roll bars, ride height and dampers. All the rest you can adjust. So I suggest we again skip qualifying and go into the race right away. Again, driving with 2 times fuel consumption and double tire wear. Let's go. Again, you can see some liveries. Here the beautiful blue Scheid Motorsport Eiffel Blitz livery, one of my favorites as well. This black Red Bull car also looks pretty neat. And here the Bunk Motorsport 306, also very nice car. This is a Walkenhorst, if I'm not mistaken. I also like this grey one with the Nordschleife N on the rear. The art car in the stripes. So yeah, definitely a whole bunch of nice liveries. Let's do this. My AI is set to, I just checked now, it was 113%. Cheers. %, worked pretty well on the Nordschleife. Let's see if we can keep up at all here on Zolder. But I think we will. Oh, yellow flag. Of course, with the ABS you can trail brake quite nicely in this car, braking very deep into the corners. Not a whole lot of space in this chicane to overtake. Almost made it. AI is pretty quick around here. What I find to be the most fun when racing against AI is always, you know, starting a little bit at the back of the grid or in the middle of the grid instead of qualifying, and then set up the AI to be just at your pace or a little slower than your pace, so you can move your way through the field. That's what I usually do. But of course you can, if you want to choose to make your own championship, for example, you can do that. And then you can do qualifying, etc., practice all the sessions that you want. But yeah, as you can see, AI with this car produces pretty nice racing. As much as I enjoy online racing, it's always very nice to be able to just pick any car and track that you want and go racing offline against AI. Nice drift. Hi Thomas, glad you like it. Also quite nice to see the AI is racing each other as well. They're not just driving behind each other all the time. At least they're trying. That was a risky move. Yeah, DTM 94 would be really awesome, I agree. But it's currently not planned. But who knows? I think it's quite cool that we have DTM 92 already. Unfortunately, some of the manufacturers and brands like Alfa Romeo are not very easy to license. Yellow flag again here. Now, since the last patch, or 2 or 3 patches ago, there are several options for flag rules. You can choose to run the full flag rules, which means obviously no overtaking in the yellow, etc. Or you can choose to run visual only, which I'm currently using here. So that means you will see the flags, but there's no penalties attached if you, for example, overtake under yellow. Which one is the Pasha livery? If you will scroll back just before I switched to Zolder, I went through all the liveries. You can see in the starting grid which liveries are included. I think it's all of them in this race. I believe it's 23 liveries in total. Hello Russia, welcome to my stream. The Pixum car almost lasted here. Yes, the cockpit indeed is very detailed. Very nice steering wheel with the display and all the gauges. And you can't see it right now, but there's also on the lower right you can see the AC and the stick gear, the gear stick as well modeled. I can show you later maybe. The physical model, if you're talking about the physics of the car, those were developed together with Oscar Sandberg, which is a driver of this car in real life. He won the Dubai 24 Hours this year. He helped us a lot, giving us really good feedback. Also, we received pretty good data and telemetry from teams like Sorg Rennsport, and also other teams like Duva Racing helped us in developing this car. So I would say it's as good as it gets in terms of physics. And as I said earlier, it's quite fun to drive car. Oops. It's of course not very difficult to drive, at least to drive it fairly safe around the track. But of course, once you start to push and squeeze out the last tenths and hundreds of seconds, then it becomes increasingly more difficult. Some nice oversteers sometime. Well, we chose to do a variety of liveries, not only VLN or 24 hours Nordschleife liveries, but also other liveries that race in other racing series, like the 24-hour series, which is the series that holds the 24 hours at Dubai, for example. Not sure what other races they're doing. I think like 12 hours of Mugello or Imola, or if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's a selection of liveries from more than one racing series. My force feedback settings are pretty much the default settings. I spent quite a bit of time back then creating those default settings, so they should be pretty good from the beginning. So what you should do, if you haven't done it yet, is go to your options, controller settings, and then you go to controller profiles and make sure you load the default profile for your wheel. And then from there you can start tweaking to your preferences. As soon as you make any change to your profile, it will create a custom profile. That means the stock or the default profile will never get lost. You can always go back and load that one if you choose to do so. The only very important thing is, for example, if you have a Logitech wheel, is that you have the latest drivers installed. And in the Logitech profiler you need to check the checkbox that says allow game to adjust the settings. That is the only requirement, but I think it's checked by default. That is important because then RaceRoom can adjust the wheel range of your wheel. That is the amount of degrees of rotation. If you haven't checked this checkbox, then it will take whatever is set up in your driver to be the degrees of rotation, which might not be optimal for the car that you're currently driving. Don't apologize for your bad English. Mine isn't perfect either. But I'm trying. Hello. Make sure that you have the latest Logitech gaming software installed. It should work, if that is the case. Like I said, the latest drivers, and tick that checkbox that says allow game to adjust settings. Those are the only two things that you should be worried about if you have a Logitech wheel. Maybe you're a little bit confused regarding Logitech drivers, because there is the Logitech profiler, but there's also the Logitech gaming software, and that's the one that you need. So if you Google Logitech gaming software G920, you should be finding what you need. If you're asking when regarding this car, then I can give you an answer, and that answer is next week. Oops. I think in the coming days we'll be able to give you an exact release day for this car. So keep an eye on the RaceRoom Facebook page and Sector 3 forums, etc. We should be able to give you an exact day for the patch and the release day of this car. Yeah, I would have needed more than 30 minutes to go onto the podium in this race. I'm slowly progressing forward, but we're running out of time. I hope you can see, but this car is really quite fun to drive. It doesn't do anything super crazy, but it can get a bit sideways coming out of the corner if you are too eager on the throttle. And again, this is with default setup, which means 25% traction control. You can choose to get rid of traction control. Not sure if it's faster, but it's a lot of fun. Thought I could keep it in 4th gear. Tires are slowly degrading. Hi Freddy. Sorry, dude. Especially coming out of slow corners, it can get quite tricky, but always manageable. Yes, Freddy, finally! It's coming out next week. Yeah, tires are definitely not as grippy anymore. Guy behind me almost lost it. Three more minutes. I think we can do one more race after this one, and then we will call it a night. Any track wishes from your side? If not, then I'll probably do Sanford. Always pushing, Paul. Well, only a few more days and you can test these cars yourself. Falkenberg could be interesting. Resurface Spa could also be an option. It will not be a huge difference to the Spa that you know already, but Spa is certainly another Belgian track that they are probably racing in this series as well. So that would also make sense. Macau. Macau is not the AI's favorite track, with the Malco hairpin, which by the way is a constant yellow with no overtaking, just like in real life. Oh, AI made a mistake. On the last lap here, maybe we can make up still one place or two. got 2 more overtaking spots coming up. One is right here. Oh yes, we made it around the outside. Bit of a risky maneuver. And the other overtaking spot is here, but this might not work. No. Or little cut over the curb. Ah, too much drifting. Almost. Well, I'm reading 2 times Macau here. Last chance to put your votes. Thanks, Cutler. Thanks, Freddy. I would definitely prefer a different track than Macau. Everybody wants Macau. Well, I guess then we're gonna do Macau, but no guarantees. Well, now we got 2 Oschersleben and 2 Suzuka as well. I think we're gonna do a quick lap around Macau. Nordschleife I already did, so if you wanna skip back to the beginning of the stream, that's where I drove around Nordschleife. I would agree with Paul, Zandvoort's a really nice track with this. Paul we sadly don't have in the game, but we do have Macau. Okay guys, I'm gonna set up Macau and be right back. And here we are again on Macau. Let's see how the AI copes with the hairpin. As I told you before, there is a constant yellow flag out in that hairpin. That means no overtaking. That is why the AI will go very slow to that corner. Let's see how that plays out in the race. And one more thing we need to check. Let's do a quick installation lap. One more thing we need to check is if our steering lock is high enough to make it around that hairpin ourselves. because if not, we need to increase it. Been a while since I drove this track. AI is looking racy there behind us. We found our braking point, which is good. I think this might be third gear actually. There it is, yellow flag. Turn in at the bus stop. Text on the tarmac. I think we should increase our steering lock a little bit to make it easier going around here. Now when I say steering lock, what I mean is the amount of degrees that the tires turn. There's two things you can adjust. You can adjust how much you can rotate your wheel, and the other thing is how much your tires turn in relation to that. Now we have set it up to according what Oscar told us, Oscar Sandberg, the real driver, what they are using in their car. So it's set up for realistic values already by default, but this track is special, and that's why we're gonna go to the car setup, into the steering settings, and increase the steering lock. Now I can show you actually maybe on the outside of the car. Now if I turn the wheel all the way here, you can see this is the maximum the front tires are turning. And now we're gonna increase the steering lock. I'm gonna go extreme now just to show you the difference. If you look at the front wheels now again, and we're gonna turn, you can see that now they have a much bigger angle, or a relatively higher angle, which means the car will be more sensitive when you drive it to your steering input, which makes it difficult to keep it stable, but it decreases the turning radius. But obviously we don't want it to be that high, so we're going back and we're gonna try out something like this. Right. Yep, very nice looking car, I have to agree. Let's do one more test. See if we can make that happen easier now, and then we'll jump into the race. No scratch, no mirrors gone, no. I'm trying to keep my BMWs intact. But no guarantees during the race though. Yeah, definitely feels much more sensitive. And that was too late. Too late braking point. Thankfully we have higher steering lock, so we can make it out of this runoff area. Hello, the sliders. Oops. Almost hit the wall. Camber and toe are visible too, yes. But toe, for example, we're talking about 1 degree up or down, so it's really hard to notice. As you can see now, it's much easier to go around this hairpin. That is because with the same steering input, we have much more output, steering output. Because the tires are rotating or turning more. Thanks, sliders. Alright, this should be practice enough. Let's jump into the race. So, settings haven't changed. AI is still at 113%, and we get still 2 times tire wear and 2 times fuel usage. 30-minute race. I think it will be extremely difficult to gain a lot of places on this track, but we'll try our best. And hope we don't crash, because this track is not so easy for me or the AI. You think the FOV is big? I don't think so, to be honest. It's pretty accurate to me. I do have a 40-inch monitor or TV that I'm using for the driving, so everything is relatively big in front of me. such a claustrophobic track. The walls are too close to my car. Here we go again, yellow flag. Now the question is, do we obey that flag? I could just cut inside here, but then I would probably not be able to make that corner. So yeah, if you're wondering, yes, in real life, for example WDCC, this corner is a permanent yellow flag, which means no overtaking allowed. That's nice to hear, Moine. I hope you guys enjoy these streams as much as I do. Always good fun to hang out with you guys and talk a bit of racing and do a bit of racing as well. Well, so far the AI is doing quite an acceptable job around here. Yes, I use force feedback, obviously. In my opinion, RaceRoom has one of the best force feedbacks in any racing sim. Now obviously that is a very sensitive subject and everybody has a different opinion. And everybody has different preferences when it comes to force feedback. But RaceRoom also has a lot of options for you to adjust it to your preferences. So here's a good reference for you guys. See that bus stop there written on the road? That is your turning point. Stay to the left all the way till you see that bus stop riding on the track, and then you turn in as hard as you can, and you should be able to make that corner just perfectly. Obviously, you need to have your steering lock set up appropriately. Some cars may not have a default steering lock that will make you go around that corner very well. So in that case you just increase your steering lock. And if you want, you can increase your wheel range as well while doing so. So you will prevent the car from being too oversensitive. I'm running just normal 1080p resolution. Looks pretty sharp to me. and my 1080 graphics card is giving me quite decent performance. It would probably be able to manage 4K as well. But definitely prefer a stable frame rate over that higher resolution. Yeah, it's a very dynamic car indeed. I really want to overtake here because the AI is taking it so slow, but obviously the yellow flag is why that is the case. Cheers. Getting close to the wall here. In some games, actually, with my 1080 graphics card, I can run dynamic super resolution, which is NVIDIA's downsampling feature. So the game is actually running in 4K on a 1080 display, which helps, of course, with jaggies and anti-aliasing and so forth. Looks pretty good. Well, we haven't made up many places so far. It's not a very good track to overtake. There's really only just one or two overtaking spots. But definitely having a lot of fun here, driving against the AI. Cheers. The steering animation with hands is, I believe, 360 degrees on all the newer cars, and on the older cars it's 180 degrees. That is 90 to the left, 90 to the right. And if it's 360, it's 180 to the left, 180 to the right. Still not close enough for an overtaking here, overtaking maneuver. Or am I? No. I do like looking at that livery in front of me though. Looks really cool. The BMW Stripes art car. First raced in 2014, I believe, in the BLM. Hi Sasha. I agree, thank you. Nice car indeed. Glad you like it. AI is doing a terrific job, to be honest, around this track, all things considered. I can try and show you what happens if I try to overtake here. It will be extremely difficult to make this corner, because you need to be all the way on the right. Oh, I just made it. Now obviously overtaking on the yellow, you shouldn't do that. But I became bored of driving behind that car. I usually don't have the wheel on my screen either, but for live streaming it kinda makes sense, because, you know, I wanna show you guys what's going on here behind the wheel. Yeah, sorry. I just basically wanted to show you what not to do. Whoa! And why not to do it. Because as you could see, I barely made that corner. And I'm sure the AI will forgive me for doing so. Nope, I did not try this car in VR. I haven't. I'm not using VR myself, even though we have a pair of glasses in the office. But I'm sure it's pretty cool with a detailed cockpit like this. The AI is set to 113%. Oops. Whoa, almost pinned it into the wall. we're still side by side. Ah, good. Thanks. I'm trying my best. We got 12 minutes to go, 13 minutes. Yes, the Eiffel Blitz livery is included. The Team Scheid Motorsport car is definitely included. Oh, I'm missing my braking point. And we're back behind the art car. Well, racing offline also has its bright sides. Not sure if this was an online race, we would still have 23 cars in the race. I don't think the handbrake works in this car now. Not sure how or why you would use it. You mean in the hairpin? Sebastian Loeb style, like he did in his WTCC car. I keep forgetting to brake here. Starting to lose my focus. I forgot how much fun Macau is. I haven't driven it in a long time. You don't need the hairpin, you don't need the handbrake for drifting. You just need to do a little Scandinavian flick. Yeah, that's a good question. Even Macau has some straight bits where you can read a little bit of chat. But I do not recommend it, doing it. Macau in the Formula 2, yeah, I can imagine. You should drive the FR3 though. Simulating the real famous Formula 3 race on Macau. That is quite an insane event. Open wheelers on this track. The only thing more crazy is that they are actually doing motorbike races on this track. There are some very famous photos on Google. You can see motorbike riders leaning into the corner, touching the walls with their elbows and stuff. Absolutely crazy, guys. Be mean again and overtake this guy. Hope we can make the corner. Just made it. So what do you say, guys? Should we do another race after this one? Are you still awake? You wanna see some more? And if so, what track? I think we left the Oschersleben and Suzuka having 2 votes earlier. I could imagine Oschersleben to be quite fun with this car, but also Suzuka. That is a scary corner. Now this time let's not forget to brake here. Suzuka, yeah? Spa had a couple of votes as well, right? Well, I'll gladly respect your decision. If you want to see a specific track, that's cool with me. drifting in Macau. I can drive an Audi, but not today. Today is BMW day. But I would suggest that you go ahead and follow me on Twitter, because I'm often putting up polls so you guys can vote for what you want to see in the stream. Yeah, as the tires wear off, it becomes more alive, the car, for sure. So, one more lap. Do you have a specific favorite Audi that you want to see? Holy crap. Is it me, or are the brakes starting to fade a little bit? Well, front brake temperatures were quite high. Definitely feel my tires slowly giving up on me, especially in the rear. How do I reply? You mean how I read your chat messages? I've got them right here on my phone. And I'll let you guys distract me from my driving by reading the YouTube chat on my phone. Have fun. So what was it? Ah, okay. Spa, Suzuka, Oschersleben. Well, we finished last, guys, but it was a lot of fun. Thanks, David, for subscribing. Suzuka, alright. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, I'm back, guys. Now, let's do a quick lap, see how the car feels around this track. One thing we should not forget is to go into car setup and change our steering settings back to default. Now of course we have blue flag because we are not on our timed lap. I love these corners. Very lively over that curb. I think Suzuka is actually fairly popular. Yep, definitely feels good around this track. The AI seems to be going at a decent speed as well. Cheers! It's very inviting to drift here, but it's not quick. But this is enough of practice. Let's go into the race. There it is, the Eiffel Blitz. Well, the hope with multiplayer is that the ranked multiplayer feature, the online career, will give you guys a much better suited framework to organize and sign up for races. Because right now, of course, you go into the lobby, and if you don't see a server with already a lot of players on it, you might not be so tempted to join it. But if you had the option to sign up for a race and a given schedule provided by us in various set championships, then I think it's much easier to organize yourselves and meet on the servers and have some great multiplayer races. Going a bit brave on the inside here. Good night, Thomas. The AI is going 3 wide there ahead of us, almost 4 wide. Almost hit the guy. Well, everybody will have the chance to rank up. Everybody starts at the same rating, the same reputation. So, depending on how well you do, you will lose or gain rating. Now, obviously not everybody will be racing at the top level, but we are gonna match guys with similar skill level together. So let's say for a race there's 50 people who sign up, then there will most likely be 2 divisions. And the divisions will be created based on the rating of the player. So, yeah, depending on the number of sign-ups for a race, you will be matched with the other players that are most that are closest to your skill level. Well, Le Mans track, there are currently no plans, but that does not mean that in the distant future we might not end up making that track. I cannot exclude that that might be the case in the future. But also currently we don't really have the cars necessary to make Le Mans worth it. would really need a nice field of LMP 1 and 2. Then again, LMP 1, who knows how long that class still exists. If Porsche is leaving that class, if the rumors are true, then it's only Toyota and the private teams left. And that doesn't make much sense to keep the class going like that. And yeah, I mean, of course we do have prototype cars in our game. But they are not that popular either. And you really would want dynamic time of day and stuff like that as well to make an interesting Le Mans race. So who knows? Maybe in the distant future. Not gonna say never. But currently we are working on different tracks. And I'm sure you will be glad to hear about that soon. Well, the turn 1 wreckers, I think in most cases it's not... they don't do it purposely. It's just that they might not know their braking points very well. And I think if you would be matched against players with your similar skill level, that would definitely help. Also, if we introduce that reputation rating that keeps track of your incidents, people will probably, hopefully, be a little bit more careful, because otherwise they run danger to lose the license or being held from progressing. Because right now the public multiplayer is a bit of a Wild West. There's really no rules. Everybody can just drive like an idiot and it doesn't have any consequences. But with a reputation rating, you will be forced to drive safely, otherwise you will not be able to progress in your online career. I think that will also create a little bit of a different mindset in players and hopefully make them care a bit more whether they crash somebody or not. Night racing is something that would most likely be coming with the switch to the Unreal Engine when it happens. But that is not something that will come to RaceRoom very soon. It's currently being developed for GTR 3 by Simmin in the UK. And as I've mentioned on various occasions, and as you can also read in the interview that our CEO gave on Race Department, the plan is for RaceRoom to switch to Unreal Engine in the future, once that tech has been made ready. I guess you are. I recommend that you go check out the interview on the race department of Chris Speed. If you Google GTA 3 race department, you will probably find that article and that interview. Some good information in there. Also for online racing, what I can really recommend is that you join a league or a club somewhere. For example, race department is having fairly regular online races, multiple races every week. And it's a pretty good code of conduct in that club. And they also have some quick drivers, some slower drivers. Whoop, whoop. Well, my playseat is a little bit more than just a playseat. It's a Sim Experience Stage 4 simulator, motion simulator actually. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out. If you're looking for a playseat though, I could recommend you to go to RaceRoomstore.com. They're also selling some hardware there, including playseats and various sim rigs. I think they are pretty nice for beginners and guys who wanna upgrade from their desktop setup or controller or whatever you're using. If you wanna have a playseat and a steering wheel, etc., try and go to RaceRoomstore.com and browse to the hardware section. AI is rather quick here at 110%. Definitely too quick for a 30-minute race. Love this corner, how the car bounces over the curb. Yeah, that's why I've added this overlay so you can see my brake and throttle inputs. Although in this car there's not so much involved. It's, yeah, I mean, you could still, there's still a little bit of braking technique involved, but on the throttle you can stomp it quite hard actually. There are other cars where you have to be much more careful on the throttle. Well, I wouldn't say the car doesn't like the curbs, but you need to be careful how you approach them, how you tackle them. This corner is like so inviting to drift. Looks like we're stuck on P17. Thank you. Oops, that was a bit too wide. Stay on the outside. No. Very demanding on the tires, this track. I live in Sweden. It's 11:30 in Sweden. 20 past 11. Where are you from? To be fair, I started the stream 8 o'clock Swedish time. It's been running for a while. Yeah, I think my driving style is sort of slow in, fast out. Which means taking a little bit of a wider radius into the corner and getting a good exit. It's not always the best technique, as I have learned. Especially in front-wheel driven cars. Not a fan of those. Hi Spain. Hola España. And a very friendly hello to the Netherlands. Were you disappointed with Max Verstappen today? Was not the best move he made there on his teammate, if you've seen the Formula 1 race. Well, I don't know, the penalty was a bit harsh as well. I mean, it's not like he did it on purpose. I would just call it a racing accident, but still, if I was Ricciardo, I wouldn't be happy about it. And to be fair, it does happen a lot with Max Turn 1 incidents. Which I'm not complaining as a spectator. Makes it more interesting. The rest of the race was pretty bland, except the last 10 laps maybe, where Hamilton caught up. That was wild. Yeah, not much overtaking unfortunately in this race either. I set up the AI a bit too quick for me to keep up. I mean, you could still argue that he could have braked earlier. I mean, you probably knew that his brakes were not on temperature yet, and he was, you know, putting a lot of risk into that corner, and unfortunately, it resulted in an incident. But I mean, that's what race drivers do, trying to defend their position. Can't really blame him for that. But hitting your teammate out of all the other cars on the track, it's very, very unfortunate. The car is coming along great. It's gonna be released next week over the line. So you will get your hands on this Beamer very soon. And by very soon, I mean next week. Oh, late braking. Well, the Red Bull car turned out better than it was initially feared at the beginning of the season. It was kind of nowhere, but then they caught up quite nicely actually. But I think the season is already over for them. No chance to compete with Mercedes and Ferrari. It was good to see Ferrari today with such an impressive performance. If it wasn't for the technical issues Vettel had, there would have been miles between them and Mercedes. Although Hamilton, yeah, caught up quite well at the end of the race. So what did we learn today? Very soon, on the soon scale, means next week. And next week, if it's a Sunday, that's already tomorrow. Next week starts tomorrow. But it's probably not going to be out by tomorrow. That I can tell you. Well, Kimi did really good as well today. Obviously again due to Vettel's technical problems, but he could have won the race. Oy, oh, that was beyond good and evil, this braking point. Well, that's another race done. Really nice car. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And you got a good look at what is expecting you next week. If you haven't yet, then please subscribe so you don't miss the next stream. And wish you a good day and good evening. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.